good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from, because we're hoping you're coming from all over the world. Thank you for joining us for the Condé Nast College of Fashion and Design online session to talk about our wonderful postgraduate degrees, so a number of different masters that we're running. My name is Agata, I'm the head of marketing for the college, and we're joined today as well by Johannes.
Hi, my name is Johannes Reponen. I'm one of the program directors here at the college. I specifically run the MA Fashion Media Practice course, but I will be talking you through all the 4 different postgraduate degree options that we have here at the college.
And we also have a current student.
Hi, I'm Megan. I am a student, an MA student here under the Fashion Media Practice course, specifically journalism.
So today definitely a lot of details on that course, but we'll be talking about all of the courses that we have. You're very welcome to ask questions. You can post questions throughout the presentation, but please bear with us because we will answer them a little bit at the end actually of our presentation. You can submit your questions through questions and answers or the chat function. All right, so let's start the session. First of all, the Condé Nast College of Fashion and Design has been created in 2013 by the Condé Nast International, or rather Condé Nast Publications. So this is the international publisher of titles such as Vogue, Tatler, GQ, Vanity Fair, The New Yorker, I can't remember more. But yes, there's Glamour, there's the Architecture Digest, so it's a huge array of various publications and very, very well-known titles that they have. They're extremely international, as you can see from the attached picture here. They have 11 of their own local markets, as well as a number of licensee markets. What does it mean for you as a student is that we get the latest insights and the latest data from all of those markets. And we're able to incorporate the latest trends, skills in demand into our curriculum because we have this direct feed into the actual industry, which Condé Nast is. We're also we as a college, we're situated in central London, in Soho, which is a very creative hub of London. You'll get all sorts of museums, galleries, theatres, model agencies, PR agencies. There's lots of concept shops around. It's generally extremely creative area, so also very good for our students to get a bit of a stimuli of the creative juices. We're very close to the Condé Nast headquarters, which are in Charing Cross, just 10 minutes away from where we are, as well as we take our students to the Vogue House, which is the actual place where they do publish Vogue and Tatler and all those loft printed magazines.
And actually, I wonder whether Megan could talk a little bit about, because we've just done a couple of trips with our MA students over to the Condé Nast International headquarters. Do you remember what we did last term? We had a big session at the Central Well. Yeah,
we got to talk a lot about sort of the future of marketing, where we went and we had a few different speakers come in talking about the AI technology implemented in their programs and market research and all the benefits of that. It was really cool. We even saw animal tour.
Yeah, it was a great day. Yeah, we had the head of audience research, for instance, from Condé Nast, and this was kind of like a central well within the international headquarters, where we had a variety of talks. And yes, like you said, I actually completely forgot about that. On the day, Anna Winter was in for some meetings and happened to walk past, which obviously caused a little bit of commotion.
Always very exciting. And the pictures you see on this particular slide are in fact the inside of the Condé Nast headquarters in Charing Cross, where our students were. It's also to show them the variety, I suppose, and the vastness of different jobs, opportunities within the media and fashion industry, because of course there are many editors and writers, but there are also a lot of other kind of business supporting people who we also want to show to our students to show them that, you know, business and creativity comes together very, very well.
And also, actually, sorry, just to build on that as well, we do have a variety of colleagues who come over to do some teaching as well. So we had, for the MA Entrepreneurship and Communications, we had a colleague from the headquarters who came to talk about social media. Yes. And for the journalism students, for instance, on Monday, we had a colleague who is the retail editor for Vogue Business, who came to talk to our students about, you know, what it's like to write for B2B audience, or business to business, or do business to business journalism. Sorry to interrupt.
No. So it's we bring. So because we came from the industry, we understand how being in touch with the industry is important to the future of our students and our own survival as well as a college. And that's really our difference, is this unique industry connection that we have. And that's why we source people who are professionals who work in the area to come in and share their experiences, talk about opportunities available in the industry, what sort of skills are being sought after, you know, from our own Condé Nast network, which is very, very vast, but also from other kind of partners and corporate friends that we have. And as Condé Nast, we deal with many luxury brands and luxury lifestyle brands that we make sure that the students get exposure to. And we'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute when we're talking about the industry speakers and other trips that our students get to experience. Here you can see the actual college. So as you can see, it's extremely wide. It's very much to give our students a blank canvas to create from rather than to litter their brains. It's a really lovely space. It's very cozy. We have a wonderful library that's specifically stocked with fashion and fashion media publications, as well as our students have access to a number of online resources, as well as we encourage them to sign up for the British Library and other libraries that the students would be eligible for. We also have some special facilities which actually are not in the picture here, but we do have a photographic studio where our students do lots of styling sessions when they work on projects. So moving on, as I mentioned, as industry is so important to us, and the link to the industry and preparing our students to take up their new roles after graduation in the industry. So part of what we do outside of the curriculum itself, the students are being taken to a number of different exhibition and kind of experiential events, I suppose. And here we have, starting from the left-hand side, we have a Dior exhibition in the Victoria and Albert Museum that our students attended, I think, at which they also got an access to some archives in the museum there, which is very, very special. You wouldn't normally get to do that. They also are being taken to concept stores, like the one here in the middle. I have to say I'm not sure which brand that was, but it's one of the concept stores that our students would go and see. As well as, there's regular tours, regular visits to things like Tate Modern, which is the Modern Gallery in London. There's, I think they're being taken as well to Welcome Collection, and generally the way that it works, our academics sit down and think about what's happening in London throughout the year, and then they think how will it add value to the courses and to the curriculum that you're studying as a student, how it could expand your horizons, and those appropriate events are being coupled with the actual curriculum on the course. And now we move on to the actual courses that we are running.
So, so at the moment, here at the college, we have 4 master's degrees, and I'll talk you through each individual course in sort of broad brush strokes, hopefully to give you a bit of an idea as to what it is that we're doing. But if you kind of think that, as a college, we're really kind of focused on 3 key kind of subject areas. We have degrees that focus very much on kind of media industries, degrees that are very much focused on communications industries, and degrees that are very much focused on entrepreneurship and business when it comes to fashion. So the first course that I'm going to talk to you about is our MA Entrepreneurship Fashion for Fashion and Creative Industries. This is a brand new course that we launched this September, and I'm personally really excited about it because it is quite a unique course, and there are not really courses like this in other kind of institutions. And where this came about was really the idea of how can we help to prepare the future entrepreneurs who will go and to the kind of creative industries and create the new, exciting, kind of disruptive concepts. How do you create innovative and challenging ways that you can communicate or market and sell fashion to audiences? What are the new business concepts that we need to be thinking about as we're moving forward? When globally we've got a number of kind of bigger issues to do with things like sustainability, and those are really changing the way businesses have to operate. Which is why we created this particular course, and it's really structured in a way that students kind of go through the course. And during their time here, they learn different kind of skills to do with starting up a business, which is why we're really interested in applicants who are kind of natural entrepreneurs or who want to go and become a business leader or work in management or those kind of leadership positions. So during the course, term 1, students learn about kind of research skills. They start to understand about kind of branding and marketing, develop market awareness. To the second term, where they start to learn much more about things like communication methods, to how to create a business plan, to how to pitch their businesses. To term 3, where students learn about things like how to do financial planning, funding, and the course really culminates in term 4, when students write up a business plan, and at the end of the course, they also launch it. So if you already have a bit of an idea, you've got a business idea that you'd like to develop, think of this course as a bit of almost like a research and development period, where you could come in, learn some skills, get expert support and input from the industry, and at the end of the course, you can potentially launch your business. And actually, a part of the unique part of this particular pathway is the fact that for term 4, which is when students are doing their final kind of business plans, each student is paired with an industry mentor, so that they've got that kind of direct industry feedback on their ideas, and kind of just to kind of give you a bit of an idea of the types of students that we have at the moment. We've got somebody, for instance, who's very much interested in luxury travel and sustainability and is developing something around that. There's somebody who's really interested in jewelry sector, somebody who's interested in beauty sector. So again, we're taking quite a broad scope in terms of how we approach this particular kind of course. It doesn't necessarily have to be fashion with a capital F and it's to do with clothing. We're looking at lifestyle industries, we're looking at the beauty sector, and these kind of broader creative industries that students can kind of come in and learn about and develop ideas around.
But important part of this program is also you do not need to know yet before joining what sort of a business you'd like to start. Part of the course is to actually figure out how do you get to the point of having an idea, as well as how do you test it, whether it is a valid business idea. So don't be discouraged if you just know that you want to set up your own business, but you don't really know what course, or around even which area exactly. And also a huge benefit of the course is that the director of the course herself, she is an entrepreneur, she's a social entrepreneur, so she herself has gone through, you know, the troughs and ups and downs basically of startup and growing the business. So it's, you know, it's not just theoretical, it's not just academical, but there's a lot of practical experience that people bring in who will teach you on a regular basis.
And actually, just to build on that, I think one of the things that I'm particularly proud of, and why I really love working here, is the fact that we've got quite small cohorts, which means that hopefully students get to know each other, and we get to know students incredibly well by the end of the course as well. But that also means that we can quite quickly identify where students' strengths and weaknesses are. We get to understand them more, and there's more. We've got more time to work with students and kind of really help them to identify, you know, what's their career direction. So again, you know, if you don't have, particularly for this sort of pathway, if you've got that entrepreneurial spirit, but you're not quite sure what to do, there's a lot of time to kind of develop that as you move through the course. And we do, I think that's really the case for all the courses that we run here. And part of the bigger kind of philosophical things that underpin our MAs as well is the fact that when we write briefs, we write quite open briefs, which means that students have the responsibility to take ownership of their studies, and they can really kind of think of, you know, how do I want to channel my creativity? What kind of sector am I interested in? Whether it's entrepreneurship or whether it's even like in journalism as well. The next course that we're going to talk to you about is our MA Fashion Media Practice course, which actually it's kind of like 3 courses in one. What it means is that we have 3 pathways for the course. The course has been running now, it's on the 2nd year. It was one of our first MAs that we created for the college, and it was really to kind of mimic Condé Nast as an organization, and that sort of feeds into the pathways that we have. So we have a pathway for fashion journalism, which is what Megan is on, where if you are interested in becoming a journalist, a content creator, you're interested in storytelling, you're interested in words, you're interested in creating content. We've got the creative direction pathway. That's very much for those of you. If we can move back a slide. Thank you. For those of you who are interested in kind of like the visual side of things, so perhaps you're interested in graphic design, styling, visual identity, even video, and actually currently our students are working on a project with their own audio and interactivity for website, this is really the students who might go into things like art departments or kind of like create the visuals that you see in publications. And we have the media business pathway, which is for those of you who are interested in the business side of media, advertising, becoming a publisher, the kind of strategy side of media, launching new publications. That's really the pathway for you. As a course, we're really trying to kind of explore the creative, commercial, and critical dimensions to do with print, digital, and experiential fashion media. What I mean by experiential is the fact that media is no longer just print and digital. Media is also experiential, which means that media companies are creating experiences, whether it's events, whether it's discussions, whether it's exhibitions. There's an additional dimension to media as well. We think about that. It's a highly practical course, and it's very much focused on students developing interest-focused skills based on those particular pathways. But also there is an academic side to this as well. So there are some academic projects, and really it's giving those sort of theoretical knowledge to students about kind of how media works as well. So the first pathway that we're going to be talking about is the fashion journalism pathway.
Before that, would you mind just explaining what are the images on the left-hand side that we see?
Of course. So all the images that you're seeing throughout the presentation are kind of work created by students. So this is particular kind of project from a student last year. The cropping is slightly unfortunate, but never mind. it was a project where students, actually this is the second project that our journalism students do, which is where they take on the role of being an editor, which is about commissioning content, thinking about a publication, how it reads, what's current, what's relevant, how do you potentially create a whole publication. So last year a student took Vestoj, which is a critical journal, and in essence imagined all the content that would be published in an issue of Vestoj magazine. So part of this particular pathway, there are just two elements. One is journalism, which is the project that we are doing at the moment, and perhaps we can tell us a little bit about that in a bit. So there's more of a very much focus on writing, but also the second project is about students taking on that role of being a fashion editor as well. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about the fashion journalism projects that you're doing at the moment?
Yeah. So we're building a portfolio right now, and like Johannes said, it's like very self-directed, and you get to create the content. Although it is like assignment based, you get to create the content that caters to where you want to go in your own career after school. And so it's just about writing reviews, industry reports, learning the difference between writing from business to business articles or business to consumers and stuff like that.
There's a big long form piece that you're going to have to start thinking about in a bit as well. So it's very much about writing skills. It's about writing. But again, like Megan said, we don't give students particular assignments where we say you have to write about this trend or you have to write about this designer. They're designed in a way that they're hopefully quite broad. There's some restrictions that we have to give, but hopefully with that broadness, students can sort of think about, well, maybe I want to write about beauty. Maybe I'm interested in the catwalk, maybe I'm interested in trends. Maybe I'm interested in that kind of intersection between fashion and politics or whatever it might be. So, and again, we don't say that students have to write, for instance, for Vogue or for the New York Times. Students can choose the publications that their writing will be direct for, which really means that they are allowed to sort of develop the kind of tone and voice of a specific publication and hopefully apply some skills from that as well. The second pathway that we have is our creative direction pathway. So that's very much focused on, it's kind of on the visual side of fashion communication. So those of you who are interested in potentially being a graphic designer, art director, perhaps you're interested in styling or photography, there are two subject-specific modules for this particular pathway. Students are currently working on a project called Multimedia Portfolio, where they've got a number of different projects. So one of the projects is with an industry partner. So we're working with Stella McCartney, and students are going to be creating Instagram content, and they're going to be given a product from the brand, and they're going to have to create Instagram stories, videos, and still life images that are then going to be representatives from the brand. Will give some feedback to students, and will also see the final outcomes. Students are creating also, so that means that they could be working in studio, learning about film, learning about editing. Another project that they're doing is something that we're sharing with our journalism students, which is an audio project. It's called What Does Fashion Sound Like? Which is like, and they're supposed to respond to this with an audio piece. Podcasting, for instance, is a really big industry at the moment. It's a really important part of media and the role of audio as well. So we're trying to get students to engage with kind of also to other kind of communication channels as well. The creative direction students will have to also create an interactive microsite as well, and they're working with some really interesting people like Lucy Hardcastle, who's created films for Chanel and ID magazine, and we have a sound designer coming in and working with the students next week as well. And then they're also working on a spring project, and which is kind of more students looking at graphic design, print from a technical perspective, and also kind of content curation. The second term student or third term student are looking at more brand identity for magazine and creating content, whether it's styling or visual identity or illustration. So you've seen the slideshow on the side, which was from a last year's project where students created the visual identity for a a publication that was all about, it was directed for men who are interested in hiking, quite specific, but it's all about kind of like this sort of outdoorsy life, creating this sort of magazine that kind of talks to that particular person. It's about, you know, but around that there was a sort of wider kind of lifestyle that was packaged to do with kind of fashion and food, but also these sort of all these outdoor activities that you could do. So the student, all the images that you're seeing are photography by the student, the illustration by the student, they've done the graphic design, they did a website design for this, and it's really like working in an art department for a magazine. Media brand.
And generally that happens for every course that we have here in the Condé Nast. They always work on the company projects, live projects, and it's every year it's a different company. But similarly, they always take quite a big projects and get feedback from those companies. That means that then they are really trained to the industry standard. And you're going to see, we're going to play a video here. Please excuse us, we're going to turn off the sound of it because it doesn't render very well through the online session. But you'll be able to see the video that our students created as a part of a business plan, right?
Yeah. So the final pathway that we have for the fashion media practice course is a media business. So like I said, that's really those of you who are interested in commercial business and strategic aspects when it comes to running a media company. Perhaps you have a degree in management, perhaps you've done media already, advertisement, or kind of a related degree and you're interested in going into publishing, you're interested in going to research strategy. Perhaps you want to launch your own magazine, but you're interested in more of the business side of things, and that's the pathway for you. And on the kind of course, students learn to create a business plan for a media company. They learn about business management and leadership as well. So it's really kind of those going into those leadership positions within media. And the film that you're seeing here at the moment is from a student who graduated last year. This is from their final master's project, Elena, who created, she took on Vogue Russia as their kind of hypothetical client, and she wanted to create a new product for them. And it was really to kind of identify this market opportunity of creating personalized styling services. So it was taking that kind of the creative team behind Vogue Russia and allowing consumers to access that for styling services. So as part of that, she created a business plan for that, as well as kind of like some of the visual assets. So for instance, the film was a promotional film for the business concept that she exhibited at our final exhibition. And that's really, at the end of the course, we have a big exhibition here for both of our MA and BA students, and students get to exhibit their work there. Is there anything that you want to, any reflections on what you've learned on the media course so far, or any words of wisdom or advice?
You know, if you want to go somewhere where you can be both a student and learn a lot, like in theory and like just like the background of the fashion industry, and at the same time sort of like work on transitioning into a professional and like working on your career and stuff like that, I think this is the perfect place to be, because I mean, I've just learned so much from like within the fashion industry and have been able to develop my skills. So like just, I don't know, like exponentially in like the few months that I've been here so far. I can't recommend it enough.
What was the degree that you did before this?
I just got my bachelor's in literature and creative writing before.
Yeah, and how did you find that kind of transition from coming from, in a way, non-fashion degree, but still thinking about kind of text words, to coming to a journalism degree?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like from creative writing, like it's just like definitely a different way of telling a story, you know, and like talking about just like a different, I guess, way of talking about the fashion industry. And I mean, there's so many different branches of fashion writing in general, whether you wanted to get into the journalism aspect or the theoretical aspect, or maybe like a publishing side of it too. So I guess I got to learn some of the more nitty-gritty parts of the fashion industry too. It's so broad, and there's so much within it. And I guess that's what I wasn't expecting. Yeah. When I first came here, I thought it was like, oh, fashion, but fashion is really an umbrella term for all of the stuff that goes on in the industry beneath that.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
We're really at the forefront of it here.
And I think that's part of also again for the media course, we have a variety of industry practitioners who come in. So literally 2 days ago we had somebody from Vogue Business who came and did a talk, and we also had the editor of Refinery 29 who came in to talk to students about what they do.
We had the founder of the Purple PR the other day as well as our industry speaker. In fact, we have industry speakers coming in at least once a week on Tuesday morning to talk to our students, and we get people from, which we'll talk about more as well, but we get people from, kind of celebrity models, designers, through to editors, business people, social media experts, photographers, and so on. So again, it is very much, I think, to show you guys was the variety of different options within fashion and media industries.
So yeah. Really picking what fits best for you.
Back to courses.
MA Fashion Communication.
Yes. So this is again a new course that we've launched this year. It's a kind of a degree that we identified as, because we've got a media degree, we've got an entrepreneurship degree, and we also wanted to kind of create a degree which is for those of you who are really interested in the other side of communication. So not necessarily about journalism and styling of the media industries, but you're perhaps interested in going into fashion communications, working in PR, marketing, branding, or promotions for fashion companies. You're interested in storytelling and how do brands tell stories about themselves? How do they communicate with their multiple audiences? Again, through multiple different platforms, whether it's through social media, whether it's through direct marketing, whether it's through experiential things, which is what this course is all about. We are, again, part of what's embedded, I think, with all of our courses is that kind of trying to look to the future. How can we make a positive contribution to the world in general and to also fashion? What are the new practices that we need to be thinking about? How is the communication sector evolving? Some people are talking about, for instance, PR. PR as a sort of term is being used less and less, and it's this sort of wider communication remit that brands are having to tackle that are to do with, not just public relations, but it's about creating kind of touch points for customers and audiences to be able to understand what, for instance, brands do through experiential means, or whether it's through video or whatever else. On the course, students do a variety of different types of modules. We kind of structure it into sort of past, present, future type scenarios. So students are looking at the history of fashion communication, thinking about what is fashion communication now, but also, like I said already, thinking about the future of fashion communication. How are trends shaping the industry in general, and what impact will it have on the fashion industry? Students learn to develop their theoretical, visual, and creative and practical skills as well. Kind of like much in the way that we kind of do it with all the courses. There's that sort of optionality, or that kind of freedom for students to think about: am I more inclined to develop my visual skills, or am I much more interested in branding and communication? Am I interested in much more PR? And you can tailor your projects around this. And same goes for sectors. Perhaps you're interested in beauty, perhaps you're interested in menswear, streetwear, luxury and fashion, and it might be even kind of broader industries like travel. And you kind of wanting to tackle those sectors. Again, we've designed this course in a way that allows you to sort of choose your path and kind of figure out what it is that you're interested in. Like with all of our other courses as well, there are industry-set briefs on our fashion communications program, where they will have to respond to briefs that are set by the industry, whether it might be to do with coming up with a new communication strategy or proposal of some sort. After the course, you'll be able to, hopefully be really kind of an agile person that can go into whether it's branding, PR, marketing, promotion, innovation, or future thinking as well. There are so many kind of new job roles that are being created constantly. Things like, I don't know, 10 years ago, seems like a long time, but 10 years ago, there were job roles like, for instance, social media manager. That's a job role that's only emerged because of the way in which the technology is evolving. So, think about how, for instance, new channels are coming along, places like TikTok, that's right. Mm-hmm. Good. Sorry, I'm showing my age and my how much I engage with current technology, but those are the channels brands are constantly having to respond to them and thinking about how to tell stories in this channel and the new expertise that they need to kind of have in the team in order to be able to respond to this. It's all about kind of developing consumer insight and critical thinking skills. Actually, that's really, I'd say, one of the core things for all of our courses, whether it's to do with entrepreneurship, whether it's to do with fashion media or communication as well. Understanding who's your customer, your audience, your reader, your viewer, and who are they? What are their needs? And what are the kind of pressure points that we need to respond to as an industry and kind of tailor kind of the products that we're developing to meet their needs now and also next. And again, like with all of our courses, this is an incredibly kind of practical program where we've got industry practitioners coming in to talk to students about fashion communication. So for instance, I might have mentioned earlier, but just only a few weeks ago, we had somebody from Condé Nast International who came to talk to students about creating strategies for social media, which I think was like a fantastic session for the students.
Because effectively we bring people who do those jobs in and out every single day, and they really know what to look for in a way of pitfalls as well as how to have quick gains. So it's very practical knowledge for our students that are only really a few months away from getting into the markets.
Last but not least, we have a course which is slightly different in terms of how it's structured. So all the three courses that I've told you about are kind of courses that we run here at the Condé Nast College. And with those, we have a validating partner, which is Buckingham University. But we also have our MA Luxury Brand Management course, which we wrote in a collaborative agreement with Richmond American International University, which is delivered and assessed at Richmond. What it means is that the students have two homes. On sometime during the week, they are at the Richmond campus, which is based in South Kensington. And then they also come in 1 day a week to the Condé Nast College here, where they learn where they get the sort of fashion-focused specialist skills. So we create a custom curriculum for them, which is to do with things like, specialist lectures that we put together. They do things like visits. So I think students are going to the Bulgari Hotel next week to kind of visit that, or they have specialist speakers who come in here. So it's almost like getting the best of both worlds and getting to kind of two different kind of campus experiences. But like I said, the main bulk of the deliveries happened at Richmond, and also for this particular program. So whereas all the other programs you can apply through our website. You will for this program you will apply via the Richmond website. We of course have a link for that in our site as well.
Absolutely. So I'm going to take over from Johannes for a moment so he can give his rest for a second here. As I said, really our uniqueness is in that we do come from the industry, and therefore our links are unparalleled. We bring in many speakers at least once a week. There is a holding space at 10 a.m. on Tuesday where we always have an industry speaker coming in, but also each of the programs themselves would bring in relevant industry professionals to share their experience, to share their tips and advice on the industry and how to make it there, what is it they're looking for. and we bring people from, as I said, such as we've had Victoria Beckham, we've had Edward Anningful, who's the chief editor of Vogue Britain, we've had Wolfgang Blau, who's the president of Condé Nast. We've had, as I said, the founder of the Purple PR. We've had founder of This Works beauty company. I mean, I cannot just name all of them, but you can check our website where we have the whole list of different of our industry speakers. Lately, we've even had our own graduate as well as a model, Maxine Magnus.
I wonder, Megan, whether you've got any, is there a favourite speaker or most memorable speaker that you've seen so far during your time here?
Maxim she was a really good speaker.
Yeah.
She was super eloquent and had really good points of view. The women from Eco Age as well were really interesting. And then, yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, the editor-in-chief of Glamour came in too. And she was just like so calm, cool, and collected, and also had like such great energy and was so willing to like talk to everybody afterwards. It was awesome.
That's an amazing thing about our speakers, that they come in and they're being really honest about the industry with our students, which is fantastic, because this is exactly what we need. We need the real insights. We also, as I said, every course we do an industry project, a number of those industry projects throughout the year, where they get the brief from the company and they also get the feedback from the company, so they learn how to work to the industry standard. As I said, there are a number of trips, which we mentioned before. There's museum, galleries. We have access to the Vogue archives. We get access to special museum archives as well. Our students get to go to various companies, like the Bulgari Hotel mentioned. This is just one of many. All of our degree students have an opportunity to go to the for a New York trip, which is an option. You don't have to do it, but we do encourage you to do so. It usually takes place in March, and I don't know if you're going this year. Yeah, fantastic. So usually what happens, they go there for a week. You get the tour, you get to go to the, again, museum, galleries, special kind of concept stores. I think they did Tommy Hilfiger last year. They also always get to go to the Condé Nast headquarters in New York, which obviously is super exciting because there is always this opportunity of meeting Winter. And in fact, last year they did, and they even had an opportunity to ask her questions. So that was very exciting. We also make sure that our students can participate in some capacity during the London Fashion Week. So they get tickets to some shows, they get to work on some shows behind the scenes, they get to do coverage from some of the shows. That depends what we can get for them, but they always get to participate in one way or another. We are as mentioned before, we're quite a boutique college. That means we are small, but we're also much more like a community. We're much more we're very close-knit, meaning that there's a lot of support available to our students, both from a specialized career support that we have on the campus, as well as all of the academics who are not only academics, but also very often, practicing professionals in their area, so they can also advise on the career. Our career support is very often one-on-one. The students, get the CV sessions, work at a strength testing for the students as well, so we can recognize where the strengths to build on, where the weaknesses, where the improvements need to be made. We'll talk to them about the personal branding, about, of course, preparing portfolio, all of those projects that they do throughout their studies up to their portfolios. And we think about how to, for the students, how to help them achieve their potential, but also how to help them achieve their professional dreams, because sometimes it's more of a journey, and we help them set this path of milestones and steps they need to take to get them to the point where they want to be with their career.
Also, something that is useful to know is that for both MA Fashion Media Practice and MA Fashion Communication, there is an opportunity to do a 4-week placement between term 3 and term 4. So that means that there's kind of like a gap within our curriculum, and also this is a kind of project, or kind of that work placement period also goes towards students' final project, so they get credits from that as well. So it just allows students to go out into the industry to sort of see what it's like. And last year, for instance, because we've only run this once for our media program, we had students working at Vogue, at Glamour magazine, at the Condé Nast Traveler, I think at Love magazine, at Dazed and Confused. I feel like I'm missing places, but so they had all very high profile placements. And also, I think just to kind of come back to the sort of importance of career support, students are also supported after they leave the college.
Yes.
So I know our head of careers is constantly in dialogue with students, and it's actually really lovely to get these sort of almost weekly updates on what students are doing. So again, because we've only have one postgraduate graduating cohort out there, so we haven't had that many success stories. However, I know that we have one student that is working at Love magazine at the moment. I know one student actually this week has got 2 interviews for quite amazing magazines. One student is at the moment at Soul Studio. One student is, I think, at Glamour magazine. One student started straight away working at Dries Van Noten and has then gone on to work at Estée Lauder. So actually, one student is at Ralph Lauren, sorry, like the list goes on, but actually all of them are already in the industry, and bearing in mind that they only graduated half a year ago, which I think is quite an amazing achievement.
You'll see this very exciting slide in front of you. I'm sorry for the overwhelming amount of information. However, we hope this is a very, in a way, very clean way of quickly looking through the commonalities as well as the differences between those 4 master courses that we have, master degrees. So they're all 1-year full-time courses. There are some other alternatives also available on the MSc Luxury Brand, MA Luxury Brand Management, as it's also available part-time. All of our courses start in September. It's usually towards the end of September. You can apply for all of them online. The difference is with regards to the MA Fashion Media Practice, Entrepreneurship and Fashion Communication is the online application that's required, as well as every single applicant who meets our admissions criteria will be also invited for an interview, which gives you an opportunity to discuss the degree further, to make sure that you're the right person for this particular course, and vice versa. Get a little bit of an experience who's teaching on the course, who perhaps are other people on the course. With regards to the MA Fashion Media Practice, you would also be expected to submit a portfolio. And when it comes to a portfolio, it should be appropriately, I suppose, specialized depending on which special pathway you'd like to go for. So if it's a fashion journalist, it should be a written word, right? Yeah. If it's a creative direction, well, it should be, I suppose, more creative. And then for the business,
you just have a statement.
And
actually, with that, it doesn't necessarily have to be fashion specialist work. So for the journalism course, for instance, in writing, it doesn't have to be that. Maybe you haven't had an opportunity to write about fashion yet, but maybe you've written essays, or maybe you, as part of extracurricular activity, you've been writing about, I don't know, journalistic pieces for your local newspaper or whatever it might be, but it's interested in text. And when it says kind of a portfolio, it's just a sample of work. It's much more about quality than quantity. I'd rather see 2 or 3 really nice examples as opposed to 10 that are, the quality starts to go down, for instance.
You'll see for other courses, we would not require you to submit a portfolio, but what that means is that your personal statement is so much more important to make sure that we do understand your what's driving you, why this course, and why you feel, how does it fit in your future, and why you feel you're the right candidate. So moving on, what are the next steps? Well, we hope we've covered pretty much everything. We're having those sessions on a regular basis, so if you feel that that you need some more information, please join another session or just simply drop us an email. What you could do next, you could check out our social media as they're given here. They will provide you with an opportunity to really have quite a good sneak peek into what life at Condé Nast looks like, and what it might be to be a student with us. Sign up for any other events you feel like. We have a number of open days coming, a few more of those online sessions. You can always also book a private campus tour. So we're very accessible and very flexible. And we'll be more than happy to talk to you. You have all of the open days listed here as well. Those are face-to-face open days on our campus, but we also, as I said, have ongoing online sessions. So now we're going to go quickly to the questions and answers because we do have a few. I'm going to read them out. So first question we have is specific to the entrepreneurship program, but unfortunately I don't see the actual question here. Okay, the next one we have, what are the resources available for prototyping? How do students go about sourcing products/prototypes? Okay, I assume that's specifically when it comes to entrepreneurship program.
So I'm not entirely sure specifically what you mean. However, I would say most of our courses, we're kind of looking at entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship business, communications and media. So all of our kind of courses are very much focused on kind of having a conversation with people, less about product development. So it's about kind of developing strategies. There might be some outcomes that students could create on the media kind of course. We have students who then, for instance, on the creative direction, they do create printed products. But also somebody on the entrepreneurship course might be interested in, I don't know, starting a jewelry brand. We don't really have facilities here for making, because we don't really have making courses. So what we then always encourage is for students to collaborate, people from outside, to kind of establish those professional connections. We don't position our master's degrees in a way that it's almost like that you come into school or educational institution. We actually see all of the things that we do here quite industry facing, and we're encouraging students to sort of think about these products and or these sort of projects that they're doing here as, how might they lead into kind of future businesses. I'll give you one example. For last year, one of our MA Fashion Media students developed a magazine as part of their final master's project, which they've now just launched as an actual business. So I'm not sure whether that answered your question. In terms of our facilities, we are very much kind of designed to kind of talk about business and communication. All the technical facilities that we have are our studio facilities where students can do photo shoots, and also our computer facilities. We've got quite an extensive technical program which allows students to learn skills in InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, editing programs that might be relevant for the course. And students get to use also the equipment from the photo studio for their own, I suppose, projects as well. They can do that. So I can, to be honest, I can find out a little bit more around that topic from the course leader directly, and then we'll drop you an email because I have your name here, so I can do that. You're then asking what is the structure of the mentorship and the frequency of meetings. Yeah, so for the mentorship, and that again, coming back to the entrepreneurship course, where at the end of the course, term 4, which is the last term, students develop a business plan, and for each student we assign a mentor, business mentor, to kind of help them come up there, or like kind of like almost like a kind of critical body to sort of help them to sort of test ideas, give guidance as they're developing these ideas. There are a number of kind of sessions that students can then or kind of tutorials that students can have with the mentor. I can't remember exactly what the figure is, but I'm sure we can double check that for you as well. But there are regular kind of meetings throughout the last term, much in a way that we would for all of our other MAs as well, where the kind of mode of delivery changes quite drastically. So the last term is more about students it's more self-directed, where students are creating publications or their business plans, and they come into the college for workshops or these kind of mentor tutor meetings.
Okay, the next question. Is the goal of the entrepreneurship program to have the business launched by the end of the program? Yes, that's generally the idea, that you should be ready to launch your business by the end of the program.
It could be a hypothetical business as well. So
yes.
We don't kind of require students to sort of commit to an entrepreneurship idea that they then take onto the market. So in a similar way, for instance, for fashion media course, students develop publications, and it's sort of they create the final prototype. They don't have to go and launch it. It's about going through that process and learning all the skills that are required in order to develop an idea.
So now we have a question specifically to Megan. So hi Megan, would you mind speaking a little bit about the portfolio you put together to apply to the program?
Yeah, so I think I used Adobe Photoshop to do it. What I started with, I just read a few articles from a couple different places that I really liked fashion-wise. And I was sort of like, okay, what am I thinking about? What can I bring to the table? What are some of the ideas that I had? And so what I did, I put together a few, I think I did trend reports. Do you remember reading it?
So
yeah, which is so far from what I would probably do now, which is like funny. But yeah, so I just put together a couple of trend reports on Adobe Photoshop and made them look like, yeah, just sort of short form articles paired with images that went along with it.
Did you also have some work that you've also created as part of an extracurricular activity in your portfolio? For some reason, I remember maybe there was some sort of work that you had created. You know what?
I think you're right. I think it was part of the work that I had done for my undergrad though. While I was like doing my undergrad portfolio. So
sometimes that's what people submit if they feel it's good enough. Yeah.
It could be students have included essays that they've written as part of their undergraduate studies. It could be a self-directed project. Often students, if they haven't had kind of experience in writing about fashion, they can have set themselves their own project and write something, which I think is a good way to approach it as well.
So moving on, sorry, because we actually have quite a lot of questions today.
Sorry. I think I had an article that was already published at the time too, and I'm pretty sure I put that one in there as well, but I'm not 100%.
Fantastic.
It's been a while.
So another question. I'm currently finishing my BA degree in commercial photography, but want to go into more of the fashion journalist side of things with social media, curation, etc. Would one of the courses be suitable? Thank you. Well, is the creative direction a way to go, or fashion communication perhaps? Because it's specifically around social media content curation.
Yeah. So it depends on, so you mentioned journalism, which makes me think journalism could be the right way forward, which is very much to do with writing and kind of creating content and that kind of editorial practice. If you're interested in, and it's okay if you've done a photography degree and you haven't done that much writing before, you probably will have done things like dissertation, or perhaps you've also already been writing alongside, your kind of current degree. So that's not actually a problem. So if it's writing that you're interested in, then fashion journalism. If you're interested in going to social media, then I'd say fashion communication. And if you're interested in continuing your photography and visual practice, then I would say creative direction.
Okay, so we have a question about how many students we've got per course. So usually we take about 10 students per MA course. They get to kind of mix together across all of the courses that we run, as well in some of the, I think, shared modules, definitely during the industry speakers, but for most of the times you're just in those really small groups. We've got that. Do students receive any time of loan for the tuition fee? At the moment, we're not part of the students' loan scheme. However, we are in a process of being part of the finance with the with the Office for Students. So hopefully, possibly by September, you would be able to avail of the governmental loan for postgraduate studies for our courses. Of course, there are other development and professional development loans that a lot of the high street banks also offer, and you can look into that. MA Luxury Brand Management, do you have to be enrolled directly with Richmond? Yes, you will have to be enrolled for the Luxury Brand Management with Richmond University, but they're all signposting on our website. So as long as you go on our website onto the program page, you'll be fine. So we have two more questions. Let me just go very quickly through them because I know we're already a minute past. What are the bases for international students wanting to apply for your postgraduate courses? What would be the usual process for application? So like with anyone else, you're applying online. There's a link on course page. Also, and the criteria is exactly the same as every other student. Our courses are extremely international. In fact, I'd say 80% of our postgraduates, so the master courses, are international, and only 20% of the students are from the UK. So we're very well versed in admitting international students. So it's just make sure that you have a good bachelor's degree. If English is not your mother tongue, you'll probably have to take the IELTS test, both for the Tier 4 visa as well as for us making sure that your English is good enough standard. Of course, fill in the online application, submit your transcripts, your diplomas, references, your personal statement, and then we're going to review it. If we need anything else, we're going to ask you for additional documents. And then if we deem that you're meeting all of the criteria, we'll also invite you for an interview. With regards, of course, to the fashion media practice MA, you'd have to also submit your portfolio. All of those documents can be submitted online. Okay, two more in regards to prototyping. Okay, if the prototyping would be facilitated by us. To be honest, I'm sure we would be able to help and advise maybe where to go, who to work with. I'm not sure if we would necessarily organize it for you, because I suppose that's part of your launching the business, is to find the appropriate suppliers. We'll be able to advise on how to look for them, perhaps, or how to validate them. But I can find out in more details again and come back to you. Thank you for answering. Yes, I love the writing side, so I think journalism is the way forward. Thank you. Well, you're very welcome. That was the end of all the questions that we've had. Thank you so much for joining us for today's online session, and for all of the questions submitted today. And well, have a lovely day, lovely evening, lovely afternoon, or night, wherever you're coming from. And we hope to see your application and possibly see you here in September. Thank you so much. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Johannes.
Thank you.
Bye.
That's